Dwayne Kadu Williams. Welcome to HP Track Chat. We have a lot to talk about, and of course, you're just coming off the high of winning Eastern champs convincingly. Tell me, Dwayne, why coaching? What influenced you, or what was your main influence for getting into coaching?
Well, all right. So at high school, I used to play cricket and football. And to be honest, I'm a better cricketer than, well, a runner because, well, I didn't run at high school. At the time, I knew nothing about running. Throughout my years at high school, college, I played cricket. I captained my high school team from the under 16 level to Edley Cup, and then when I went to college, I even captained my college team for 3 4 years as a started as a freshman.
Which high school was that?
Guys High School, that's in Saint Catherine.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So then I went to Money College, and that's where I started as a player coach, but coaching cricket because at the time I had a strong passion for the game. But instead of getting better as a player, I end up doing more coaching because the coach at the time had some gigs at a gym in the evening. So I took you, well, I can't say I took full responsibility because I was the one who picked the team, and eventually we won the Intercal Championship first time in the 55 years of the college.
So
So,
how did you cross over to track and field and get to a school like St. Mary's High School?
well, I'm getting right there now. So after doing my diploma in primary education at Money College, I major in physical education. So I went to GC, Foster College. Now, when I went to GC Foster, played cricket to not to a large extent, but played cricket nevertheless because, as I said, I had a strong passion for it. And then I met this girl who was a track athlete. So, you know, in the evening, instead of going to cricket training, used to go tracks to watch the training because at GC Foster now you had a lot of players who played for like the parish clubs and stuff like those, and like players like myself now, who wasn't coming out of a good system, it was pretty difficult to get in that the A team, even though I played a few matches, but I wanted it to be something permanent. So I kind of skipped the cricket and start to go to training. Well, just to watch because my girlfriend was training, so
So
couple.
would you say that she was the influencer then in you crossing over?
Yes, because I had a friend now who used to coach, and his name is uh his name is also Williams. Yeah, I think he's currently at Oberlin. I know. Yeah, man. He and the girl, kind of encouraged me to take up this coaching thing. But nevertheless, what happened? I major in track and field. So track and field was one of my major. Track and field, football and cricket. So anyway, even though when I spent 2 years at GC, so after my 2 years at GC, I then went to I was getting a job at a primary school, and I said no, that is not me. And then I went to Coronel High School. Now, when I went to Coronel High School, my first thing was to develop a cricket program. But when I look around on the facility and the limited resources that were there at the time, they only had a netball court, and there was a space around the netball court because I asked like where they keep sports and all of these things, and it was a netball court that they actually run around for sports day, which is about they get probably like 100 meters around. So I then say to myself, well, I cannot coach cricket on a netball court, and I am not going to coach netball. So I I went to the principal and I said, look, I am going to try and see if I can start a little track program, because in a school like this, you have a lot of kids and they're not the brightest. So, but these kids, talent, and a lot of them are troublesome. So it's best to try and channel all of this energy into something positive. So we had dialogue with the principal and myself. We had dialogue, and at the time she said, "Yeah, man, Mrs. Dawes," and she said, "Okay, Mr. Williams, do what you want to do." And I post a notice and invite who want to come and represent the school. And I think at first I got over 30 students, and then we did a lot of road running because going around that netball court was too many sharp turns, but and then I started to develop shin splints and all of these things, so and till I cut it down to about 12 athletes. And that 12 that I was left with, I took all 12 to Eastern Champs that year. And this was my first time doing any form of coaching. So basically, I was a novice. And a lot of these kids were nervous, just like myself, because to be honest, I wasn't really sure if what I was doing was correct, but it was trial and error. And when we went to Eastern Champs, we scored 37 points.
What year was this?
2010. So this is about February 2010. Yeah, so I started teaching there 2000, September 2009. And yeah, we won 3 medals and scored 37 points. And when I sat and I did my analysis, I said, wait, it is not bad, because it was a good feeling, and persons in the community were proud because nothing like this has ever happened in the school, and a lot of past students reach out, and a lot of positive things, So I started planning for the following year, and then I was told that I was working for somebody and the person is coming back. However, but the principal at the time was trying to put me elsewhere because of the respect I earn in the community and at the school. So they didn't want me to leave. But one of my cousin was working at St. Mary, and she called to ask if I want. No, she called to and said to me that there's an opening at St. Mary, and I need to go and drop off my application. So I went there on Wednesday, and when I went there with the documents, I went to the principal secretary at the time to drop off the documents. And just as I was about to hand them her, the principal, Mr. Errol Johnson at the time, came out of his office and called me inside. So come here. What are you doing here? So I told him that I was dropping off my application and resume for the physical education teacher opening. And right there and then, he asked me a few questions, and then he said, "Okay, let me call Mrs. Dawes. She was the principal at Carolina High School, and ask him what type of person you be." And I overheard him saying that to her, so why you don't want him to go, and stuff like that. So okay. So then he turned to me and he said, "Okay, I am doing interview tomorrow for the for the for the job. Tomorrow's interview. That was a Thursday. I'll call you on Friday because basically I just did my interview." So he told me that he was calling me on Friday, and he called me on Friday, and I went to the staff meeting on Friday, and that's how I ended up at St. Mary.
And this was from 2010.
2010, yeah.
So just to fast forward now in your new job at St. Mary's High, where maybe you would say you make your name. Describe for me what a typical training day is like, the activities and relating to training.
So a typical training day can be troublesome. It it can be good, can be bad, and it can be refreshing. And I'm going to give you some reasons why I use those words. So, for one, the field is not on the school compound. Two, it is not fenced. And three, we do not have the power to stop the persons from using the field while we are using it to train. We have had numerous accidents with community members playing football while we're training. Um, like when the rain fall, sometimes we normally tell them, please do not play in the area that we run.
The
Uh,
facility, is it a community facility or it is for the school?
it is for the school, but it is in a place they call Captureland. So you know that when you hear about Captureland, then yeah. So when they're not there, we'll have good training sessions, and one of my training sessions is I like when my athletes come early. So when I like to start around 3:20, 3:25. After that, anybody come after that, they have to do some push-ups, and sometimes they get a lot of headache because the athletes are not doing what you want them to do. Um, Sometimes you feel good because you see persons trying to push themselves, and sometimes I look at the clock after a repetition and say, "Whoa!" So it is very encouraging at times, but it is always a good feeling though when you're on the field, because normally when I post a picture when I'm on the field, I normally label it my happy place, because you feel refreshing, and you feel a sense of belonging. And sometimes after the training session now, I will sit with my two assistants, or no, three of them, and so we have a bit of discussions about the sessions. Who look good, who needs to pull up their socks, and who need to cut, because sometimes we have to use others as example to show that no one is immovable or no one is fixed. So it's just like this evening, TVJ came by to do a feature for Road to Champs, and one of my star man, you know, he wasn't feeling good, but the hurdles were on the field, and you know he picked up one to carry it back to the container. And one of the personnel from TVJ said to me, why have him like, I carry the hurdle and him not feel good. So I turned to him and I said, look, he's just like anybody else. So it's not it's so as a coach, even though sometimes you might have um preference for others, you can't show it. You have to deal with everybody just the same
Yeah.
in the public.
Yeah, you have to strike a balance. But as it relates, I'm glad you touched that point. As it relates to team management skills, how are you able to, what is your system for identifying athlete strengths and weaknesses, knowing where an athlete is better placed?
All right. So sometimes, like for example, when we get like normally I try to scout from like the primary schools,
Hmm.
and when they come in like for class 4, you know that class 4 only do from 100 to 200 on the track. Now probably we get like 6, sometimes 5 or 4, but with I throw out an open invitation for all newcomers who would like to represent the school to come in. Now, when they do that, we we try to have them compete against each other, and during that, I would normally look for like the turnover, how fast the legs are turning over, and the time they cover the distancing. So from there now, I can determine whether or not I'll allow this person to run the 100 meter, the 200, and maybe this person will have to do high jump or long jump or whichever event. Um, and when I go up in the higher class now, if things change, which it not normally change, then you might have to probably make adjustments. So that person who would make the the 200 or whatever probably go for the 800. So it's kind of tricky because everybody comes want to run the 100 meter.
Because we're known for the sprints.
So I don't know if that answer your question.
Yeah. Yep. Going back to your achievements a little bit, let us look at your achievements a little bit. As I said earlier, you're fresh from, winning Eastern champs for St. Mary's High School. This is that eighth time? This is the
Yes.
eighth title, right? Just a few days ago, I mean, I was watching Eastern Champs, and you swept all the 4x1 for the girls. I think you got something like 8 out of 11 relays or something like that. What kind of strategy you had going into this championship that was able to give you this victory at the end of the day, winning by 572 points?
All right. It wasn't a strategy per se, but I knew that we have the quality on the girls' side. So what I try to do, I try to at least have two quality sprinters in order to, because once we can win the one and the two, then I can put a nice relay team together. But within all of those relays, it took a lot of work and a lot of bashing because I bashed them and I punished them because I won't say I'm a perfectionist because no one is perfect, but I like when things are near perfect. So I pressure them a lot, and it was very obvious though that the girls outshine the boys.
Yes, because when I look at the point standing, the girls' points almost double the boys.
Mhm. So we had more numbers on the girl side and more quality because um, we have limited resources. And I noticed that the girls normally work harder than the boys, and I don't know if it's an ego problem, but and sometimes when you try to even to push the boys, because a lot of them have talent, but when you try to push them, I don't know if it's the one that affect the boys, but when you push them, they don't like it. Grant is a very disciplined boy, so that's why he's doing so well, and you have quite a few others. But I know that I have more quality than the rest of schools in Eastern Jamaica, and so when I put my team together, I know once the stick go on, we should win.
And I'm glad that you said something just now. I was going to ask you,
Mhm.
looking at the points, as I said before, the
Mhm.
girls' points almost
Double.
double the boys. Who is it? Which of the two sex is it easier to coach? Is it the girls, the boys? I mean, this is a co-ed school, and when you look at a lot of the schools, they're either very strong with boys or very strong with girls, apart from maybe the likes of St. Jago, who seem to have a very good balance with the girls and the boys. But which for you coaching a co-ed school, which is less problem for you of the two sex?
Well, to me, the girls are much easier to deal with, and as I mentioned, the girls, they are easier to deal with, even though you know that females tend to eat against females. But what I try to do, I try to have unity. I try to synchronize them. So normally when I hear the birds whispering, because that bird do whisper that this person is not talking to that person, I peer them. So as I said, the girls now they push each other in training, and after a repetition, and they say, all right, 3, 4, 5 minutes rest, let's go again. The girls are ready, the boys are still lie down. And as I said to you, I don't know if it's a ego or the type of boys that I get. But once I get the ones with the talent and willing to work, they will go far away. So I will stick with the girls. I
St.
prefer the girls.
St. Mary High School is known for producing outstanding athletes, athletes who have become Olympians. We're talking about the likes of Lilith Hodges, Jackie Pusey, Percival Spencer, Nicole Mitchell. Are you under any pressure to continue that trend?
Well, my take on this is that well, no, I am experiencing enough now to produce world class beaters. Since my time, I have had athletes coming representing Jamaica at the Carifta Games, CSC Games, World Junior Championships. Um, that was in 2013 Barcelona. Um, Jordan Williams would have made the semifinals at the World Championships in London, and quite a few. Two that made the character team 2019, 2017. Yeah, I produced quite a few that would have gone on to represent Jamaica at the junior level and two at the senior level, but not the most talented. But I still managed to get the job done.
Perfect. Looking back at in the 70s, and I'm sure you know this, the outstanding
Mm,
Jackie Pusey and her team, they finished second at the
mm.
1975 Girl Championships. They came back in 1976 and 77 and win back-to-back title. Are you under any pressure to repeat or rewrite the history book for St. Mary's High by winning girls' champs?
HP. I don't want your pressure, me,
I
I
know,
don't
I
like
know, I
to say
know,
that pressure.
I know, I
But
know.
anyway, anyway, let me see how best I can answer that question. So, a lot of persons out there may be saying to themselves that St. Mary High School dominated the Eastern Championships. And when we go to boys and girls champs, it is not the same. Now, let me shed some light here. Now, for one, we're talking about schools like Edwin, San Diego,
Heidel.
Wormwood, Idel, States, all of these schools that I just call have boarding facilities. And these schools recruit athletes all over Jamaica and outside Jamaica. Now, at St. Mary, I only can get athletes within the parish and neighboring parish. And these are the athletes that are left after all of these schools do their recruiting early. So I do not have any boarding facilities. I train for an hour, sometimes 2 hours the most on any given day. And we are competing at these like schools that train up to 5 hours a day, morning and evening. And at the same time, when some of these athletes start shining, the same school coming back for them are trying to get them.
I
So
know, I know. I've seen it. I've seen it. It's a part of the system, you know.
yes, yeah, I
Mhm.
understand that, But however, in the 70s, 80s, the system was more balanced in terms of school coming to this parish to recruit the best athlete in our country and bring them all of them in one place. It was more balanced. So you find that any school at that time could have put together a good team to win the championship. Now, if and when we have any form of boarding facilities, then and a good field and resources like good supplements and all of these things, because we just run naturally. So we are competing against school that taking all sort of supplements, all sort of things, and we're still doing a good job. Last year we finished 11th at Girls Champs, and this year we want to break into the top 10. So we want to go a step further, and this is how I plan it. Trying to go one step at a time. So I'm trying to creep, but a lot of persons out there want us at St. Mary to run, and it is not that easy with limited little to no resources.
I'm glad you say that because you're now segueing into another question that I want to ask.
Mhm.
Community support in everything that we do, support is very important. What kind of plans do you have or system do you have to in order to generate support from community. And when I talk about community support, I'm talking about funding, people volunteering. As you said earlier, your field or your pitch is not fenced, getting stuff like that done, because St. Mary is one of the few lucky schools that have won girls champs. So in terms of getting community support, do you have a system in order to incorporate your community with the good thing that St. Mary's High is doing in track and field?
To be honest, there's nothing in place where that is concerned, and I am pressured because at times I think I am doing too much. I have to deal with all of the administrative work for the team. Um, I have to coach the team. So sometimes when I even come home, all I can do is shower, go to bed, and at the same time, I still have my classes to teach. So I'm not just a coach; I'm a teacher coach. So it is pretty difficult, and you know what the system I want to see is that I want persons to come on board, volunteer their service. Coach, what you need help with? Can I be your manager? Can I do this? Can I do that? And that is not forthcoming. And I have a very good supporting principal, though. I must commend my principal. You understand? She backs the program 1000%.
You see, one of the problem that I think we have as a country is that we do not, a lot of us do not pay attention to development. People wait until the success is here for them to get on board. So once you start reaping success, everybody wants to come in and give you something and they want to help. But to get off the ground is always the hardest thing. You're a coach, you're a teacher. What are your core values, and how does your values align with St. Mary's High School and the team that you're coaching?
All right. So HP, when my team go out there, my team represents me. So I try to I look at discipline as very well. I take it very, very serious. St. Mary High School is a traditional high school, and there are certain attitudes and values that the students must maintain. Now, my athletes should not behave like the upgraded high schools. So certain displays are forbidden. Um, I try my best to keep them in line with the school rules because being an athlete, one has to be very disciplined. And I am a person who I am real, I am true. And I went to church one time and a pastor was fasting. And I put him man over my heart and he said, young man, you have a very pure heart. And I try to remain pure, not corrupt. And I I really value Saint Mary. I put it right up here above everything. Most of my work, that most of the work that I am doing, I I don't ask for compensation. I like to see when my athletes work hard and get a scholarship and come elevate themselves and come help them family. So those are the things that I really value in all of this, and lifting the St. Mary I banner as high as possible.
As a coach of junior athletes, students,
Mhm.
how do you feel? Do you care to be a positive role model for these athletes? Do you think it is your responsibility? You have a responsibility as a coach to be a role model to them?
Well, the coach must be a role model, but at the same time, HP, the coach has a social life also. So I try I try not to display certain behavior in their presence, because I want them to walk a particular line. And my talk to them is ensure that you're doing your schoolwork and you're training. Nothing else matters. So if I am going to drink, I try not I go like I go far and far from them. I don't go where I know that they're going to go or wherever. Sometimes you might go probably a Ocho, so you go down, you go town, but you meet upon somebody. But I try to be a role model, and I bud them up when they're out of line. Yeah, man. And so my time, you have to give them a little, draw their nose, or give them a little. Don't do that, because as a coach, I I try to maintain a high level of discipline, very high level of discipline, because an athlete must be disciplined. If you are disciplined, it will reflect also in your schoolwork. And I know HP that I am doing good, because um, last year I was I was selected for the Jamaica Carifta team to be a part of the coaching staff. So I know that I am doing a pretty good job, because I wouldn't have gained that recognition. So it is good to be a role model for them, because they're going to say, boy, someone will be like, sir, I made them sit all the way when I grow up. So you can't do anything too shabby.
You basically answer my next question, because my next question was going to be, what are your views on the relationship between academics and athletics? Meaning, as a coach within a school, do you
Mm.
sometimes have to consider the athletes' educational demands over their athletic demands?
But HP, yeah, pressure me, man.
Oh, sorry, man. But
Yeah, it's a,
I almost know the answer to that question. Listening to you, I know
yeah.
exactly what you're going to say, but I still want to hear it.
All right, it's a very tricky question, because all right, um, I remember, I think it's about 2015, 2015, 2014. There was just like a girl at a primary school in Highgate, and she was in grade 6, and I went to the mother and the teacher. Since she was in grade 6, she was supposed to leave and go to high school. So they said to me that no, she's not leaving, but she was a good runner. So man, I was saying that this girl can bring substance to my team, but they were not buying into what I was saying. So what they told me that and that she was going to repeat grade 6 because she could not pass the GSAT exam. She was not ready. I turned to the parent and I said to her, "Give me the little girl and let me help her." She never read so well or anything like that. And I say to her, "Moms, if she's willing to come and follow what I say and do what I say, then at the end of the day, she's going to be okay." And the, the child said, well, I turned to the child and said, "You want to come to St. Mary?" She said, "Yes, sir." And then I said to the mother, "Make sure come. She want to come." And the teacher at the school was saying, "No, she's not ready." And I tell the mother, "So, let me take it from here." And she came, and I assigned a sixth farmer to her. Now, what happened is that sometimes the six farmers at the school normally have to do community service. So what I do sometimes is I have dialogue with the principal, and I'll get some six farmers to do their community service with the athletes and help to mentor them. And
That's good.
this,
That's a beautiful thing.
yeah, man, thank you. And this girl who couldn't pass GSAT 5 years later passed 8 CXCs in ones and twos.
Wow, you're giving me teary eyes now.
Yes,
Beautiful.
and unfortunately, she was one of my best athletes until sixth form. She had some internal problems and couldn't train properly, and eventually she stopped training.
Oh, wow.
She got yeah, she got some feature doll in the observe and clean, and they call her the mini rocket. And it wasn't to be for her. Um, she dominated Eastern champs. Was in very good shape. I think this was about 2015. About 2015. Yeah, she was in very good shape, and we were warming up for the 100 semifinals at boys and girls champs. And some kid out of nowhere run across the track. Boys and girls champs, I'm talking about, so I think it was a massage therapist who brought his little boy to the track, ran across the track, and she tripped over him and bruised up her hand and her leg, and she was out of the championships.
Oh,
So that
that's
was
tough.
her story.
That's tough. That's tough.
And
But
however,
struggling. Okay, go ahead.
yeah. So back to the question now. Sometimes you have some athletes who definitely all if you get the best tutor them in the world to try and help them move from here to here, there's going to be a good struggle. So sometimes some of those athletes are better off training than even going to an extra class. And um and I will back that statement because you have a lot of persons who me and you know HP that will never read properly.
I
And
totally agree.
some of these persons are talented in some other areas.
And that
Practically.
is one, yeah, and that is one of the things that I think we do not understand, that if someone cannot get the bookwork, we have to try and steer them in another direction where they are able to progress.
Mm-hmm. Agree, agree. So sometimes you're going to find that some of these students, our student athletes, are better off probably doing some challenge channeling their energy into
I
probably like some carpentry, some construction, some hands-on
learning
things because
learning a
I
trade,
feel
it's
yeah.
okay, yeah. Let
Hmm.
me tell you something, you have trade people out there who are making more money than us with the degrees.
Well, yeah, someone, yeah.
Yeah, the money that they're making per day are making for a job. We're not even making that in a year having degrees. And I'm not knocking degrees because I have, but I am trying to be realistic that sometimes a trade put more money in your pocket than even having a degree. And it's not everybody have that capability to it. It's hard. It's hard. But my next question to you is,
Hmm.
when your athletes are struggling, whatever they're struggling with, what kind of system do you have in place to motivate them, to re-energize them, to bring them back into the game?
All right, so I like to use some give some experience, share some experience. So one of my better athletes, she went to the Carifta Games in the Cayman Islands, and she anchored the 4x1 to goal under 17, Gacy and Luton. When she came back, she was very happy, motivated to do well in training, and she came back with a bang because the experience was very good, and she met a lot of persons, and she came back and shared that experience with her teammates and how it felt to be a national athlete and how it felt to represent her country. So she came back, hit the ground running, started training beautiful, putting in all that the work that was required. And I loved it. 2020 came, and when it came with COVID,
COVID-19. Oh, yes. Hmm.
COVID-19.
Yeah.
So that year would have won Eastern champs convincingly, ready for boys and girls champs, and boom, champs went through the door.
I
This
remember.
this same athlete, Glacian, who she weighed about 115 to 120 pound max. She was about five. Glacian is about 5'3", 5'4". And when I saw her in September of that year, she was weighing up almost 180 pounds.
COVID.
COVID. And when I saw her, I put my hands on my head because I was wondering if it was the same small, tiny glacier that I saw a few months back. But all this time, we had we have a group, and I encourage them to do some work at home and everything. But that some people, parents afraid to send them out at door because the government if you go out at door, if you stay in and all of these things.
And you know that that's actually the next question I have for you? What kind of program do you have for your athletes in off season? How do you keep them fit to maintain their fitness and stuff? So you are ahead of me with a lot of the answers, and I like it.
Okay, so so when I when I saw her, I asked, "Where's Glacian?" And she hold on her head, and I rub her head and say, "All right, don't worry about it. Let's start the train." And believe me, HP, that young lady couldn't finish her training session. She carried too much weight, which she not used to. And I put her on a diet, and when I put her on that diet now in November of 2020, I host I host 14 of my athletes. So I would have taken them from their parents, and I host them. So there's a field close to where I live, and we go out there, go train, and I put her on a diet, and she's dropped about 50 pounds for that season, but she could not finish the program just the same because her legs pained because of the amount of weight that she was carrying. Um, we're talking about someone who run 12-0 the
Season before?
season before, yeah. And her best time last season was 12 about 86, I think, 12:89 as a last year class one athlete. So in the summer, like I said, I am ahead.
Yes, you are.
In the summer,
You're going right into my next question, so I'm just going to skip it.
all right. So in the summer now, I called her and I sent her a program, and I said, Glacian, remember that this is your final year. And if you want that scholarship that you so desire, you need to follow me now, tip fit up. And so I send her a workout. Um, I try to follow up. So I say to her, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. No heavy eating after 6 p.m. And if you're hungry, drink some oats because the oats are fiber and it's just going to make you feel full. And she said, okay, sir. And when I saw her September now, she wasn't so bad. And by December, we shed another 25 pounds. So even though like now she can lose like another 5 to 10 pounds, but it's not bad because at Eastern Champs, she ran 12.1 seconds.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That is a big improvement.
Yeah, so I have to be in regular dialogue with her because she was really down, frustrated, and the thing is that in the COVID time, she was at home, just watching TV and eating.
Yes,
And
COVID did not do us any justice. There was no justice.
so because of that, she get used to just eating regular eating. So one time in our HP, we were here and for breakfast, I would give her one slice of bread. Whatever we're if we're eating bread and cheese, bread and anything at all, or bun, one slice, or look at one buns we have out here. Yeah, we cut one in a two, and so this is for 2 days. And one day, I gave her the slice of bread and went outside. But when I went out, I was going on the road, but I forgot. Yeah, I think I forgot to pick up something. So when I run up and get back in, I saw her with 3 slices of bread in front of her now. And when she hear me I come, she start pushing her mouth. So.
Because one wasn't enough because she got accustomed to eating so much during that time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so me come and say, all right, eat. And then I said to her, I said, no, so I can't trust her. She says, me turn my back where I start.
Yeah.
And then I keep reminding her that remember the goal. The goal is for you to get the scholarship. And if you keep on eating like this, you cannot carry the weight. And I must say that this time she's very disciplined, and she's getting there, because I am hoping that come boys and girls jam she will break 12 seconds.
In discipline athletes, if you have them, how do you handle athletes, student athletes, when they're in discipline, especially if they are your star athletes? Are you the type of coach that will say, star athlete or no star athlete, you're in discipline, so you have to suffer the consequences? Or you give them a bye because they're going to add value to the team? Hope I'm not pressuring you.
I'm not seeing her. You hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
As I said to you, I like to give experience, like to share some experience. So I used to have this athlete. I saw him in the school, tall boy, and I invited him to tracks. But in fact, I invited him to do high jump because of his height. So he came and started training, and I said, no, so I can't use this boy get high jump because him look like him can run the 800. But anyway, I coach, and when I realized that he was doing well, I started to push him. And by pushing this boy, him go boys and girls champs and make the 800 final.
That's good.
Yes, man. Next year, him go again and make the final 3 year in a row, He make the 800 final of champs. So in his first year class one, so he would have made the final 2 year in a class two and one in a class three. In his no final year class one or final year class two. I don't really remember. But anyway, he then I noticed him find girl turn big shot and find girl somewhere even in just walk gone through get with him girl and everything. So I say, wait. So about some move. And I am not the person who is going to stop him, But Eastern champs come and and win the gold medal in the 800 same way and whatever. So for boys and girls champs now, him start like a month before now, him start come and training regularly. But at that time it was too late. Little did he know. Because I left him off my roster for boys and girls champs. So when he came with his stuff to go to champs, when everybody, came with their bags and stuff, that was the time I said to him, hey, boss are full, you can't hold on it because you never register. Him couldn't believe. Him look left and him look right and him look all over. I say, yeah, man, I saw you, man. So, make a girl where you're not going with a even time. Help you pull back your bag them.
You see, and that is one of the problem that we have. Some of our athletes, especially the boys, tend to lose focus after a while. It's something that I've seen and I've heard it. They tend to lose focus. But parents, how do
Mhm.
you handle parents who have concern with their children, especially when they have to travel?
And hold on, let me finish. So, the
Mhm.
mother of that young man went on IRFM bashing the coach. The coach is wicked and the coach is this and the coach is that and his son is the best athlete and whatever, whatever. So the host of the show was saying to her that they need to know to hear the coach's side. And however, I never get involved in that because I have at the time I made my decision not to carry him because you know sometimes them say you have to cut off a nose to spite a face. And at the time, I was pretty sure that he would have scored some points at champs. But at the same time, you have to set a precedence because you don't want this type of behavior to happen again. So I did what I had to do because I like athletes that are disciplined. So if you have a problem, you need to come as a coach, so this is the situation. And then let us work out something. But I don't work them with it. And sometimes you find you have some parents that are troublesome. They think that their athlete or their child is the best thing in the world, and they must be in the team. They must be running or they must be doing something. Sometimes you, as the coach, um, realize that this person is better off doing a field event rather than a track event, and the parents do not like that when you make that decision.
So how
And
do you handle that?
all right, so for example, I have about 8 class 4 girls. Um, one is pretty tall, and last year she never did bad on the relay team. This year, um, we got about 6 class 4 girls, but that same tall one repeat the class. But these four that came are better than her. Now, based on observation, she is going to be good going for it, but that is not done at class 4. So what I do now, I put her to do long jump and high jump, which she won both events at Eastern Champion.
Wow.
And at the same time, it seems as if the mom is not pleased because she keep on asking why is she not running on the relay. So I told her that these girls are better than her. And instead of complaining, why not rejoice with her getting 2 gold medals?
You see, we're from a culture where the sprints, the track is superior to the field. It doesn't
True.
matter how well you are doing in the field, the track is supreme, the sprints supreme over every other event.
And that is the biggest problem. So what I had to do to comfort her is that next year when she moves to class 3, she will be doing the 400, and that kind of allow me to breathe a sigh of relief. But
Wow.
they do call it. Another thing is that now my class my class two 4x1 relay team ran 46 seconds for the first time. That's the fastest relay team I've ever had at St. Mary. And all season, that the fastest that team ran was about 47 5 thereabout. But one of the girls, um, I I I put her in because one of my main sprinter was injured in the 100 meter at Eastern Champs. You'd have seen Tiana Rooms. Last year, she made the class three 100-meter final. And even though she finished last in the race, she ran a personal best 12:2. And I told her that, you're a winner because you did your best. That's the fastest you have ever run. And she got injured. So I replaced her in the relay team. And her first race was in the 100. I gave her one race because I had registered for the 100 and the 200 at Eastern Champs. So I pulled her from the 200 and I gave it to someone else. Now she ran 13:7 in the prelim. And in the final, she finished third in the final and with 12, I think at 12:80 something. And it's a pretty decent run for someone who has a sore and injured hamstring and, just coming back for her first race of the season. Now, so Eastern Champs, I know I told her mom that I'm going to give her a run at Gibson Relay, but I'm not going to make her run the both legs on the same day. So that means I'm going to bring in her to run the finals. If we make the finals, I'll bring her to run the finals. And we did make the finals. And when I changed the team and add her in, 46 seconds. But the parent of one of the girls, she wasn't pleased that her daughter wasn't in the team.
So
Since that,
everybody, all the parents want their children to run. Wow. That's a
mhm,
big that is a big job. I think a lot of coaches, a problem that a lot of the coaches have, because sometimes they have a relay team a relay team you can run what, six people, you can change two.
mhm,
But as it relates to, other events, you might have six athletes, or let's say for the 100 only two can run, and you
mhm.
have three or four young ladies. All the parents want their kids to run, and I understand, but it must be a tough job for you guys to.
It's a really tough job. And bear in mind, I'm just a small player in this because if you go to the school from Frankfield,
I know. Yeah.
and when the twins were there, remember you have one of the fastest one who could not get in the team. She has to be doing all sort of jumps.
Serena Cole, yeah.
Serena,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Some teams are very, very competitive. The top teams are very, very, very extremely competitive. The JC, Calabar, Edwin Allen, Heidel, St. Jago. Those schools, sometimes when you look in their reserve, they could put a B team
And
out there also.
what some of these teams do also, they instead of letting you get one of those athletes, they make sure of them in the school that you can use them to score points against them.
No, but the thing is that some of these athletes don't want to leave because they want to stay at the school where the hype is. Because I've always said, and this is a discussion that I'm going to have, because a lot of time people criticize athletes for moving from one school to another. And I am one of those persons. I will say at the end of the day, a parent has to do what they think is best for their child. So if they think being at one of these top school will bring them some glory and they'll get the kind of training that will, further develop their talent, they're going to go there. And this is why, as a country, we need to balance it. We need to find a balance, balance the playing field so that athletes, if they're at a non-traditional high school, they
Mhm.
can stay there and develop, because a lot of them leave, go to another school, and they never make the team because of how competitive it is for at those schools.
Well, I have athletes. Well, I have had athletes who leave St. Mary, go to one of those popular schools in Kingston, and run come back to me, and they have never run faster there until they come back to me. Never. So the fastest times they would have run at St. Mary, when they left to the other school, they did not run faster. But when they came back, that was the time now. I spent another year with them and got faster, earned scholarship and gone.
You see, not everybody, and this is the reality of it, not everybody will get the same attention from the coach, because the coach has a job to do, and his job is to win every time he goes out there. So if he has five young ladies or young men running, they're at the top of their game, and you have 10 athletes, you're going to put more focus on the ones who are at the top of their game. Just like in a classroom, the children in
Hmm.
a classroom who pays attention, they are going to get more attention from their,
Teacher.
their teacher. And it we have some work to do as a country in order to get the schools, all the schools, equipped so that children can stay at their school, make a name for themselves. Because, and I know it is legal what they're doing, it is legal, so it's not like they're doing anything illegal where a child move from this school to that school. It is very much legal. But I think a lot of these children and their parents, if the school had a system that can develop their talent to the highest level, leaving high school, a class one girl leaving high school running 11 low, why would you need to move? if
Exactly.
you if you're leaving high school and you're running 11 low, you're run big man time.
Hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? But
Hmm.
because the
Hmm.
playing field is not level, a lot of these athletes move into a system that by the time they're ready to leave high school, a boy can run 10 low, a 10-1, at its lowest,
And
you know?
so many times HP, it not necessarily work out for them so many times, and because
True.
um, a lot of these coaches, a lot of these coaches get paid to win champs or to win championships, and they will win it at all costs.
It's a business.
Yeah, it's a business,
Yeah.
and I've heard um, an interview with a very famous coach, high school coach, and one of the question was that how comes your athletes are superstar in throughout high school, and they are all sort of gold medalists. But the big question is, why do they fail to make the transition from high school to senior? And his response was that he gets paid to win championships
And that is evident. That
and
is evident.
and not to develop talent. So
Wow.
some of the times, um, the athletes they don't really understand what is happening.
They don't. They don't. And it is our responsibility to make sure that whatever decision that we are making, it is in the best interest of
Mhm.
the athletes. But the reality, it is not
Not.
happening. It is not happening like that. And I have accepted that sport is a business, but I think at the junior level, it should not be this rigid that we are not looking at that young man or that young lady to represent Jamaica at the highest level later on. So if you're not chasing champs, whether or not you're chasing the title, I don't think that we should overwork, because there's this thing called overworking the athletes, and I know that a lot of coaches don't want to hear it, and they might get upset with you when you talk about it, but the reality is that a lot of the athletes are overworked. Because if you look at a lot of our athletes who are now representing Jamaica, and I'm not just talking about now, I'm talking about 30, 40 years ago. And if you look at the ones who really moved on, they weren't really overworked at champs. They would run maybe one or two events and their relays. You don't see them running, you don't see them running everywhere. But this is a very touchy topic, and when you talk about it, people get upset. But we have to talk about the reality. The reality is that we're treating high school track and field as if it is about
Professional.
um yeah, we're treating it as if it is a professional thing. And then you have so many athletes leaving high school injured. I can call a lot of names that left high school injured, and it is coaches
But
who turn their career around and take them from injury to be winning Olympic medal. And I'm talking about not so long ago.
so let me ask a question now.
Sure.
You have seen a lot of superstars through champs from these big schools. How many are these athletes from these winning schools over the years are representing Jamaica? No.
Not a lot, and it's not just now. Not a lot of them. It most of the, and I don't want to sound sexist when I say this, but most of the women who have been superstars at champs actually move on and represent Jamaica. But when I look at the boy side, a lot of the superstars from the boy side have not really transition the way that they should. The girls tend to,
HP, let me interject. I want you to call two or maybe three girls who are superstars at champs and are representing Jamaica now.
we're talking about now, or we're talking about, say, the last 10 years. All right, let us look at the
The
21st
last, all right,
century.
I got the last 10 years then.
All right, let us look at there's Veronica Campbell Brown, there is Melaine Walker, there is Melaine Walker,
Hmm.
Veronica Campbell Brown, Sharika Jackson, Aileen Bailey, uh, 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 uh. I'm still going. You asked for three, I give you four. I give you four. And what is so funny, out of that four that I gave you, three of them went to very technical. But the point I'm trying to make, I see more women, more superstar women from champs
Mm-hmm.
doing a better job than the male. Because if you ask me to name some male, the only two I maybe can call was is Usain Bolt, Johan Blake,
Joanne Blake.
and yeah, and Warren Weir to some extent, because Warren Weir was also a superstar at Calabar, and he went on to be a part of that outstanding 1, 2, 3 at the London Olympics. He came back the following year, winning silver behind Usain Bolt. So
Mm.
it is only a few. It is a handful, and I have to agree with you. But I still think the
Bear in
women.
mind, bear in mind, HP, that Warren Weir did not spend all of his years at Calabar.
True, true, true. Just
And
like
most of his
just like
years, yeah.
just like a lot of other males who developed from other schools and then finish up at the top
Transfer.
schools.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think he used to. Is it that school in St. Thomas?
this was St. Thomas
Warren
Tech.
Weir.
I'm not
Yes,
sure because
I
I
think it's one of those schools.
okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, I think one of those schools, and
And
the
another male standout too is Omar McLeod. Omar McLeod was outstanding from he was at Manchester High, moved to Kingston College, and of course he
yeah.
went on to be Olympic champion and world champion. So you do have a handful, but the majority that we would have wanted to go forward, especially on the boys' side, we're not we're really not seeing it. We're not seeing it, and I don't know why. I can't even answer that question, and I don't even know if other coaches like yours, if coaches like yourself and others can even answer this question. Why is it that
All
these
right,
outstanding young men are not transitioning,
all
you
right.
know?
So let me try. Let me try. So some of these athletes are exposed too early to world class training. Now we have to bear in mind that a lot the male or female um, stop growing at around age 18. Now when you have say a 13, 14, 15-year old squatting 400, 500 pounds, doing 10, 400, 12, 400, and plus other workout on the same day, you're killing their growth rate. Now, bear in mind, that a lot of these athletes at a tender age, the muscles of the body, the bones of the body, the organs of the body are not fully developed until around age 18. So when they are exposed to so much work, especially the weights from that early age. So all right, so if you have a kid lifting up at age 14, 15, say squatting 400 pounds, when them reach 16, how much pound them a squat? As against when them reach a senior athlete, say reach 20, 24, how much them a squat? So the coaches want results, and they are willing to squeeze out every little talent or mine it out of the athletes in order to win. And that in itself is killing the growth and development of the talented athletes that we have here. They are exposed to too much work too early.
Wow. And is it like that for both boys and girls?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, all right. If you check history, and you'd have seen a lot more talented athletes than Melaine Walker. Um, Coming through high school, even Sherika, you'd have seen a lot more talented athletes than Sherika. Remember, in Shelley and Fraser last race at Boys and Girls Champs, she finished fourth.
Yeah, she finished down the back behind. I think Anisha McCluckin and
All of those girls.
yeah, Simone Facey.
Anisha McCluckin ran 52 at class 3, 400. And as a senior, struggle to run 52 seconds. Struggle. So if you run that time from age what 13 or 14, and you are now 20 or 30, almost 30, and you are struggling for run that, there's something wrong. It should be the other way around.
So this goes back to the coaches. This goes back to the
Mm-hmm.
coaches, but a high school coach, he's not thinking about a student future. He doesn't care about that.
Mm-mm.
He doesn't care about
Not
that.
at all.
The reality is that that is not his concern. So what do we do? How do we fix that problem? It's just like certain universities. I hear some athletes say certain universities they will not go because it is just about running and winning for the school, but they will go to another university because that university prepares athletes for the Olympic level. So what that university wants is the Olympic glory and not the NCAA glory.
Oh, okay.
Yes, there's a certain university, not going to call names, and quite a few Jamaicans have been there and they have gone on to become Olympic champion.
I know a few of them, man.
Yes, they have gone on to be Olympic champion, and their names were mentioned just now when we were looking at standout athletes who have gone on to
Mm-mm.
becoming Olympic champions. So it depends on what your objective is. And our high school coaches, their objective is to win champs and nothing more.
And nothing more.
Nothing more. So
Mhm.
do we get upset with them? Do we blame them for not looking above champs? Is that their responsibility? Is it your responsibility to look above champs? Are you the type of coach that will say, okay, you know something, I want my name to be called on some Olympians? Let's use Michael Carr at Wolmer's Girls, for example.
Mhm.
He can boast Shelley and Fraser Price
Mhm.
as a high school coach.
Mhm. Mhm. So the thing is, I I like to hear that. All right, for example, um, any school that gets my athletes' improvement rate is very significant. For example, um, 2020, Abigail Scarf went to the University of Minnesota. She left here with a one 139 600 PB, and in her first year, that PB moved from 139 to 127. So the margin for improvement is significant because I do not overwork my athletes. I am thinking development. Now, um, a lot of persons might see some of my athletes and say, boy, they don't look technically correct as a sprinter or whatever. But
You need to get out of my head.
yeah.
Continue. Yes, I was saying something similar to that when I was watching Eastern Champs. I'm like, you can look at the difference with athletes who are not from non-traditional champ school. Their
Mhm,
body type is different, meaning they are not bulky.
mhm. So my thing is that you, as the high school coach, cannot fix and do everything. You have to leave some of the work for the next level. So, um, coaching, you have to know where to go, or when to go, and when to stop as the high school coach. The athlete is going to move on, so you have to leave something for the next coach to fix.
How important is formal training for coaches? Meaning, you go to you do a course on coaching. How important is that, or is it that I can just get up tomorrow and say, you know, something, I'm going to coach without any formal training? Can I do that? Can I just get a stopwatch and a whistle and have somebody running around and doing 6 200 or whatever?
No, but all right. So the informal coach will tell you to do 6 200. What time is he going to tell you to run them in? Maybe the informal coach will tell you to, all right, I want all of them in 22 seconds. And he's going to probably give you 20 minutes rest after each, or 10 minutes rest after each, or maybe even 2 minutes after each. The the coach that is certified is not going to tell you that. He's going to tell us, okay, I need these 224 seconds. And you're getting 5 minutes rest in between. So there's a difference because the informal coach is not, he or she would not have had the information to 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 back why is he doing this as against why are you not doing this. So it is, so he or she would have to know the science. So that's why you have some people, for example, athletes. You have some athletes who hang up them shoes and come back and start to coach. And I've seen some of these athletes coaching, but they're coaching based on experience, what they what they did during their time as an athlete, which might work for you but not work for him. So it is very important that um, the coach gets certified, because when you go to get that certificate, um, it's enriched with um, theory, a lot of theory, and the theory involves information about your body. So we do all the systems, like you do the muscular system, the skeletons, the respiratory, and the list goes on. And then we looked at the practical aspect. We looked at designing training programs. Why you do this and why you not do that. So for example, the man with the stopwatch, I say, yo, 100 meter you're running or so. Pure 100 meter you're run 100 meter, come back again, run next 100 meter. Which the race is run in different phases. So you have to treat every part of the every phase of the race differently. So the formal coach is going to know the principles of training, and the informal coach is not going to know the principles of training. So the formal coach might say, all right, we are training today Monday, we're training today, and we're come train Thursday. The formal coach will say, no, all right, make a train Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Because after 72 hours, if there's no training, the body starts to decondition. So whatever improvement you would have made, the body starts to lose it. So we call it,
That quickly?
yeah, it is the principle of reversibility.
Oh, wow.
And it states that if you don't use it, you lose it. So fitness is something that you cannot store. It is one of the hardest things to get and the easiest thing to leave you. So a perfect example is that I used to cover um 3.5 kilo in a almost 4 kilo in a 20 minutes. And I stopped for 2 months. And that same distance, I started doing it back in 25 minutes. So
So it takes nothing for you to lose what it's like working out, going to the gym. You'll be going to the gym for months and doing stuff, and you feel where your body is reaping the benefits, and you
mhm.
stop for a few weeks, and all of that just revert.
Yeah, man,
Wow.
you're
Wow.
not, yeah, you're not going to lose everything, but every day that you do not work out, it is slowly going away from you.
Coach, you're
So,
pressuring me now.
yeah, so that is one of the principles of reversibility, because it is called a principle of reversibility. If you don't use it, you will lose it.
Talk to me about mental health and your athletes. Is it important? How important is it is to ensure that your athletes are at a good place mentally? How do you know when they're not at a good place? And what is your system to refocus?
All right, so Rashid Grant. Last year, we had high hopes in him making the Class 3 boys 800-meter final. And he was in good condition. And he ran the prelims very easy and ran at, I think it was 209 or 209, yeah. Ran very easy. And at that time, there was little to no one in the stadium for the semifinals. When he went in the stadium that evening, a whole heap of people inside the stadium. And his headspace was all over the place. Um, After the race, when I look at the clock, 208, 208, and this boy was in 204 shape. So when he came out, I said, yo, what was that? I said, boy, sir, when I'm going to the stadium and see all the light, them a flash and in his belly just start hurting. And all sort of things start run through his head and all of these things. So, but that was his only race. And even before that, when we like carry him to track meets, I was pretty nervous and things. So one day early in the season, I sat him. We sat under a tree, and I said to him, tell me what come to mind when you go to run. And him says, sir, why sir enough things, sir, because me look upon who me around with, if them big on me and if them thick on me, and and if them come like the school where them come from, because so the man them go to KC and Calabar and them school like fast man and all kind of things them tell me. So I said, okay, I understand. So I turned to him now and I said, um, hold up your hand. And him hold up your hand. So I said, how many fingers you have? Him said, 5. How much fingers them have? How much foot you have? And I started asking him all of these questions. And then I turned to him and said, look, what color clothes them have on? Purple and white, green and black. What color you have on? Green and yellow. So how different are they from you? And he was like, oh, sir, Mr. Way, I said, it's only different school and go. I said, yeah, all I know are you, man. And if you train and train to your best of your ability, when you go to run, as long as you do your best is only good enough. But if you go and you do not do your best like what you did last season, then you would have underperformed and you'd have made the situation gets the better of you. So as long as you go out and you do your best, and your best is only when if you run a personal best or you equal your best, then you would have done your best in the race. So
Do you think coaches take this seriously though? Do you think coaches focus on the mental state of athletes, or their job is just to get you ready physically and that's it?
all right, so most probably like the bigger schools um have persons who has these responsibilities. But for my school, I have to shoulder all of these responsibilities. I have to do all of these. I have to ensure that they're all right. For example, let me go to a Sean Walters. Um, Sean Walters is one of the most talented athletes I've ever coached. Naturally, she is very good. Did you know that the class 3, Sean Walters, ran 2:14 at class 3?
Wow.
And that 2:14 over that 800 meters was with minimal training. And today, she is a lot faster than and stronger than when she was in class 3. And she opened her season with 2:14. So I called her the other day and I said, Sean, what is happening? You ran 2:14 at class 3. I know you're class 1. You're stronger and faster. And you're still running 2:14. What is happening? But I remember that when she came in class 3, she knew nothing about track and field. She knew nothing about Edwin Allen, nothing about Omud, all of those, but she knew nothing because she is from my area, deep rural. So she knew nothing about track and field. And class 3, I just said to her, just go there, do this and do that, and head for the finish line. She go out and come in 2:14 and just walk off. Now, what is happening now is that after in her second year now, when she come into the team, some of the same athletes now start to pine to her. So you see bad athlete, they from Edwin Allen, see the bad one they from that one. So it gets here. Now, That is something that I am currently and presently working on with her, because if Sean Walters, is prepared mentally and go there mentally stable, she is going to run about 205 this year.
So when we see some of these athletes who are very talented but they're underperforming, and this is why I normally say to people, do not criticize the athletes if they underperform, because we don't know what their struggles are. Maybe they're struggling with something but we don't know. But as track fans, many of us, we ridicule them, and we are very harsh in our criticism, not
Mm-hmm.
realizing that they could be struggling with something. Because what you're telling me now is that you actually have athletes out there who are intimidated by other athletes, especially when they
Mm-hmm.
hear a certain school name.
Mm-hmm. So that was her downfall. But she she is outgrowing that. She has, I think I think she's in a better place now mentally. She's in a, yeah, because even at the Gibsons, when they got DQ, she they were they took it very hard, because they said that they already know and they want to go home, even though the teammates had race run. So that they were ready to go. And I am telling you that if we did not get disqualified, would have broken that medley record. But it wasn't to be. So that is something that we have to live with.
And I'm glad that you say that, because you're actually taking me into the wrap up stage now. Criticism is a part of the game, it is a part of sports.
Mhm.
And of course, you have people who are harsh, because sometimes, even me, I have to cuss out people sometimes when they're very critical of the athletes and stuff. How do you handle criticism, especially if you think that your team underperform and the powers that be is now coming at you?
All right. So the only the, I do not listen to what the public has to say, because the public is not a training on a day-to-day basis. I report my dealings, my positives, my negatives to the principal. And there may be a one or two or a few past students who I would normally share some information with. Now, the conditions under which we train is not ideal, and we do not have the best facilities to be performing that well. Because I have to say that well, based on what we do or use on a day-to-day basis. So when persons are criticizing, I sometimes I don't even try to defend myself. And to be honest, I don't really get that a lot. However, what I heard or keep on hearing is that, why do we perform so well at Eastern Champs and not at Boys and Girls Champs? And I want it I want to make it very clear here that 95%, maybe 98% of my athletes that goes to Boys and Girls Champs normally run their fastest time. And
You see that's the thing. Just to cut you a little bit, that's one of the problems that we have as track and field fans. Some of us, we do not count personal best. We do not count making a final, even if you do not medal. We don't count those things. And because we don't do that, our criticism, not me, but other people, their criticism
mhm,
tend to be very harsh because they don't understand what it means when an athlete run a personal best. They hear personal best, but sometimes I wonder if people know what a personal best means. When an athlete make a final out of how many athletes and you make a final, it means that you're in the top 8.
best in the country, yeah, in the age group.
So sometimes I wonder if people who follow the sport, if they really did understand the sport, we some of us would not have been so harsh, because even with our senior athletes, it's the same thing. If they go to a championship, make the final, finish fourth, we don't even care. We don't even care.
And the thing is that, things have changed a lot now because ISA has a ranking system, and for some of the events, they're taking the top 64, 48, 32, 24. And once you are in that number, that means you're in the top 64 or whatever in the country. So remember, now, gone are the days when you have over 100 athletes running the 100-meter heats. Gone are those days, or the 200-meter heats. Because when you used to watch it, it takes forever. So those days are gone. So in the ranking system now, so all of these athletes must go on the circuit to the different meets and try and make that top 24 or whichever, top 48, top 64, top 32, whichever, in order to participate at champs. So the seeding starts from the ranking system. So if you're to make a final now, you're competing against the best of the best in your age group in that particular class. So if you're in the final 8, that is a major achievement.
Big, big, big achievement.
The medal now is the bonus. So a lot of persons out there don't really understand the track and field. The only thing them know is first, second, and third.
Yes, the medals, that's all they
Mhm.
know. Yeah. A PB doesn't count. A personal best, nobody's interested in that. Many times I hear athletes go away, compete, and they run a personal best in the final, even though they did not medal, and hardly anybody talk about that. Nobody is talking about that. A matter of fact, we're not even talking about bronze medal. Where bronze I go?
That because even my class 3 athlete last year, she went in the championship with a personal best of 12 1278 or 1276, and she made the final and she ran 1224 in the final. And you want to see her mother jump, and a dead last she coming and the mother jump and a jump, so she can't believe her daughter runs so fast. So after the race, I said to her, "Come on, man, give me a high five." And she was a bit disappointed. I said, "No, you win, you're a winner. Maybe not in a dear side, but you're a winner on my side. You could run a faster because that is the fastest you have ever run."
Look here, I've gone to the World Championships. I was in Eugene at the World
Mhm.
Championship last year, and I've seen where athletes from other countries run in the semifinal and make the final, and if you see the celebration,
Mhm.
they celebrate just getting to the final.
Mhm.
We don't celebrate those things.
and you only can score points in the final. If you don't make the final, you can't score a point.
There you go. There you go.
So
It is tough. Track and field, well, not just track and field fans, but sports fans in general. And I think, but before I get to that point, maybe I'll just leave that point. But social media is very brutal. When I say it's brutal, it is brutal. And I remember I interviewed a former athlete earlier last year, and she said to me that sometimes that the things that fans write on social media, they know about it. If they don't see it themselves, somebody call them and tell them. Somebody will call them and say, yo, you see what them write about you?
mhm.
So with the fact that social media is so brutal, how is it? How do you control your athletes? How do you encourage them to not allow social media to get in their head, especially if a comment is not in their favor?
Sometimes in a HP, criticism is good and it is bad. And why I say that is that um, if an athlete is underperforming, so remember, being a professional athlete, you're going to have a fan base, and when you are doing well, the fan base is going to be with you all the way. I can guarantee you that. However, if you're not doing so well, that same fan base is going to turn against you. And you can use that negativity to fuel your your rise or your uprise. Or maybe you're down, maybe you're going through a bad patch in terms of maybe you're injured, or you as we speak about mental health, maybe you're going through some emotional trauma or something. Now you would have to use those comments to build back your character and turn those negativity into positive um positive things. So my take is that it is good and it is bad. It depends on how you see it or how you handle it. And another thing is that if you are professional, you need to stay away from the social media. Stay away from it. Get somebody to do that for you.
But they're
And
still going to hear Kadu. Kadu, they're still going to hear. Somebody is going to call them and say, yo, them just write something about you a while ago. So even if they're not on social media,
mhm,
the information is going to go right back to them because everybody has a smartphone.
yeah, that is true. But it is very tricky. And if we look at this girl here, Shakari, um, she I think she's famous for those negative comments, and she seems to be someone who's always positive, always upbeat, and nothing can get in her way. But I think the comments now have gotten the better of she, because I don't see her racing or training, and it seems as if she's doing social media less now, because I haven't seen any post or any tweet or anything from her since last year. So I don't know what is happening, if she's continuing in the track and field role, or what.
She has always tried to be, because I follow her on social media, and she has always tried to stay positive. It doesn't matter how negative the comments are, she remain positive. She will post something positive in order to counteract,
Mm-hmm.
what is said. So I think she's trying, but social media is very brutal, and it
Mm-hmm.
really can, if someone is not emotionally sound,
Mm-hmm.
then they
It can
can
break you.
see, yeah, it can break them down. Because let's say an athlete was going through something, they went out there underperform, and they see a comment that say, yo, that's somebody that if stop run now. And
Mm-hmm.
if they're not in that place where they are mentally sound, they're going to be questioning their abilities,
I have,
instead of forgiving themselves for having a meltdown, or something like that.
I am guilty of that though. I've said it before. Not post it or anything like that, but I've said it to my friends and say, hey, say him or she can stop now. Because the person's of age and I am not seeing where he or she is making any improvement, and it's like they are stagnant. So it is best to leave it alone.
Injuries. Let's talk about injuries a little bit. We didn't really talk about it a lot, but injuries. We've seen a lot of athletes got injured and they try to come back, and they're trying, but it is not happening.
Hmm. Um, Injury, as you said, injuries can be very brutal. It is career threatening, and it can make you or it can break you. And if we look at Johan Blake, who was and still is the second fastest human being, he had a hamstring injury that to this day, I think last year was probably one of his better seasons. And I think after this season, he's going to hang up the boots. But that hamstring injury was career threatening, and he toughed it out, took the bashing from many fans across the world that he should have hung up his spikes a long time ago. But at the same time, he came to the national trials and beat some of the persons who people wanted to go.
I think a lot of fans were unfair to Johan.
Yes.
I and that's my personal thing. I think a lot of them, they were unfair to him, because when you look at Johan's career, Johan is one of the few Jamaicans who you could say walk out of high school and walk right into pro.
Mm-hmm.
Johan Blake left high school 2010, and by 2011 he was a world champion.
World
He
champion.
came he came back 2012. Johan is one of the few athletes that can say he defeated Usain Bolt convincingly.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Johan was like a beast on the 2012 Olympic team to London. So the fact that he got injured, and this is why I said I don't think some sports fans sometimes understand the sport and understand injuries and all these things. It is so unfair to him. And every time I think about it and I see some comments, I mean, I just want to shut down the internet from these people. Because they're being brutal for no reason. It's like everybody is forgetting what he did.
Mm-hmm. And see, last week he ran a very respectable 6.45 seconds,
Mhm.
and that was very nippy. And based on what persons were saying last year, because
Yeah.
a lot of athletes are struggling to run 6.5.
Hmm.
So I think he's going to do pretty well this season
I
because.
think he's now focusing just on the 100 meters, which is very good. So I want him to go out with a bang, because
Mhm,
he has
mhm,
done well for Jamaica. He has done well at the champs level, the Carifta, the junior, senior. He has done what a lot have not done yet. And I mean, he's the second fastest man in the blue ribbon event.
Mm-hmm.
He's the second fastest man in the 200 meters. He is a part of the 4x1 world record team set in London at 36.84.
Mm-hmm.
So why are we not seeing all of that? Why are we not seeing that?
I
Why are
think
we?
I think what happened in HP, people have him on a pedestal, a very high pedestal, and once it's you and Blake, they expect fast times from you and Blake. They expect you and Blake to be winning and not struggling.
But he delivered. He delivered before he got injured because when Usain Bolt false start at the Daegu World Championship in 2011, if Johan Blake wasn't in that race, Jamaica would not have won a medal, and we won the gold medal.
Mhm.
So he did his part.
Yeah, but a lot of persons are not remembering that. That is the problem. They are not remembering it. They're not thinking about what he has done. They are thinking about what he is not doing now. That is it. A lot of them are saying, well, some persons, others are saying, well, he has done his part, so it's time for him to leave it alone. But Johan still, according to him, he still is not finished. He has something to prove. So he has to prove his daughters wrong before he throw in the towel.
I wish him all the best. I would love for him to get back. But as you said earlier, there are some injuries that it doesn't matter how hard you try, it doesn't matter the medical attention that you get, you will never get back to where you were. And let me tell you, Johan was like a beast 2011 and 2012.
This one.
And we saw it for ourselves. Every time I watch that 4x100 meter relay in London Olympics, every time I look at that relay, I said Johan won that relay
Yes,
for us.
man. In kill
He
Tyson.
was,
Yeah, man. In
oh
kill
God,
Tyson. Yeah, man. Kill
listen,
him.
listen, let me tell you something. When Johan got that baton, it's like Johan lift up and just walk over Tyson.
Mm-hmm. Kill him. Kill him dead.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, beautiful. Every time I watch that 4x1, as much as Bolt was on it, Johan did that 4x1 justice.
Justice. Yes, man. And I want to tell you that he is one of my favorite male athletes,
Yeah.
John
Mm,
Blake.
hmm.
And well, I can say he is,
Yeah.
to be honest.
And he works hard. That's the thing about him. Is a young man that work hard. He doesn't play around. He work because I've seen him from afar in training, and he
Mhm.
is very serious. He takes his craft seriously.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, I mean, injury struck, and I'm happy that he did it. If he never get to do it again, I can say yes, Johan did it.
Mhm.
And if Bolt wasn't at the London Olympics, Jamaica would have still win the 1-2 because Johan came second in both events behind Bolt.
Mhm. Mhm.
So he did his part. So why are we so critical of him?
Well, as I said, a lot of persons have high expectations of him, and persons may probably bet and lost a lot of money, and so because of that now, people turn against him because I can tell you a lot of betting going on.
In 2012.
Yes, man.
Yes, man. A lot of betting went on in 2012. But I am saying, and this is what I don't get with us, if a Jamaican beat a Jamaican, we're upset.
Uh,
If a Jamaican defeat a Jamaican on the world stage, if it's not our quote unquote favorite, we're upset. And this conversation, we can go on with this debate, even going over on the female side, because
oh yes.
it is the same thing with our top ladies.
Mm-hmm.
If Shelly win is a problem. If Elaine win is a problem. If Sharika win is a problem.
Well,
All when we get the 1, 2, 3, we complain in same way because we wanted that one to win or that one to win. Is Jamaica all the way just the same?
It seems as if there's a long time beef between um, the three from MVP.
But that's what competition is about. That's what competition is about, you know. The why you think, let me tell you, our ladies who are currently on top of the world in the sprints, if it wasn't for those three ladies, the 100-meter for women would not be so competitive, and other female athletes around the world would not be working this hard. Because guess what? Our three ladies, they're in three different camps, and they're competing against each other. So the fact that they're competing against each other, it just keep pushing the bar up, and it pushing the bar to a certain level where it's hard for others to catch it, because these three ladies, they have each other in their sight when they're training. I am going out there to win, and that one
Mm-hmm.
going out there to win. So the game just keep, look at Shelly last season, pure 10-6, 10-7.
6. And you see, the thing is that sometimes it's very difficult for raise three bad bull in our penny. Now.
Yeah. I
Me I
mean,
see.
with any athletes, you know, when you have so many top athletes training together, it must be difficult for a coach. It must be
Mhm.
difficult, because when you look at, even when Johan and Bolt was at races, I'm sure it was difficult for Glenn.
Yeah, it was. That's why you want to end up leaving.
It must have been hard on some of you coaches when you have to, you know, train so many. And the thing is that it's like we have a factory that just keep pushing out super talent, especially among the women. Look who is in the wings waiting. We have the Clayton twins, we have Brianna Liston, all these young ladies. I mean, it's like we have a factory that just producing, and it takes no time for a star to be born. I
Hmm.
never thought that it would get better than Veronica Campbell Brown. And then the rise of Shelley, Sharon, Karen. And then a few years after Elaine, a few years after Sharika. Look at where we are now.
Hmm. And
It's
don't
like
forget,
there's no stopping Jamaica in female sprinting.
yeah, and you can't forget about Kerry Kyle,
There, oh my God. I
fast,
could
but
I could sit here and call names all night. I
hmm
was watching Central Champs today, and let me tell you, I saw some performances
hmm
between Heidel and Edwin Allen. It came down to the 4x4. And if Heidel had put their super team out there, they would have won the championship. But they pulled back Makhanoff and I think Alana. Those two did not run, and they finished third and lost it by, I think, 1.5 or 2 points, something like that.
yeah,
But the talent, yeah, but the talent that we have, they sweep all the 4x1s. Just like Gibson, Edwin did not win any of the sprint relays. The same thing at Central Champs. So girls champs, I am expecting some super challenges from those two schools, and of course Homewood rebuilding, and of course Jago, St. Jago is always there.
and probably Corey's playing a mind game. It's all right.
You
So
never know.
yeah.
You never know. Just pull back.
Hmm.
And let me tell you, we have some talented coaches. You guys are doing a great job, a brilliant, a super job. And it is showing. It is showing in our athletes, especially the women. I'm not leaving out the men, but I have to call it what it is. You know, the 21st century, our sprinters, it's like we just open, it's like you just open up a box and everything fly out. All these sprint queens, both juniors and seniors. Look what we did in Cali, Colombia.
One at a time.
We sweep the sprints for the women.
Hmm.
1-2, 1-3.
One at a time. The men were the flag bearers. No, it has changed.
But it started with the men. It started with the men back in
Hmm.
1948 with Mr. Herb McKinley, Arthur Wynne, George Roden. It started with the men. Donald Corey in the 70s.
Hmm.
Mr. Neil Gardner in the 60s, coming right up. And then, of course, the ladies started in the 80s, and they never stopped. They just keep getting better and better, from the likes of Jackie Pusey, Lily Hodges, Vilma Charlton, and all those people. You know, so, you
Hmm.
know, we're just I mean, you and I could sit here all night and talk about this, but Dwayne Kadu Williams,
Yes, ma'am.
congrats again on your eighth title for St. Mary's High at the Eastern Champs, and good luck on Girls Champs. Thank you for stopping by and chatting with me.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure. And let us talk after champs. Let us see what happens after champs.
We will. We definitely will. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. And everybody, nice being here on the show. All right.
You're welcome. Thanks.